Hey heroes, Jonathan here at Night Knowledge. Today's video is a guide for the first men on what I'd recommend you should do and pick when leveling up your settlers to start growing your settlement. So the first thing I'd recommend is typically pause the game. You can let it go and that won't make too big of a deal, but I like to stop it just so I'm not pressured. The next thing you want to do is you want to look at your characters quickly. And what I like to focus on is I like to look at the soul and self columns here of my characters when I select the character's UI. That you can quickly open it up by pressing F1. So let's take a look. I'm looking at, so this character here, David, has very high soul. And then I have over here, I have Maisie as a very high self woman. So this is where we start off. You should not really look at, I feel, the other stats, but you should look at the soul and self first, preferably finding one man and one woman. The reason for that is because the man is going to have to be your caretaker. So when you level up your character, you'll notice now that there's no personality traits that you can take. You have to pick some sort of passion first, which is in this game, in the first man, a passion is some sort of gathering or crafting ability. So we're going to take caretaker as our number one. First option for our male character. Only males can be caretakers. So we're going to select that. There's still usually enough path points to level up again. So let's take a look. You can select something else. So we can, sometimes I might make the character maybe a hunter or maybe an adventurer. So let's take a look at what we're looking at right now. David actually might be a very good hunter, so I'm going to have him be both a caretaker and a hunter. But let's look at, before I do that, let's look at what's more important is what caretaker passion perks you want to take. So passion perks are passive perks or passive buffs that will apply to the specific caretaking passion or job, I guess you can say. So one of the most important ones, there are three very important ones that I like to always take for your caretaker. So efficient explainer, because it gives you a 30% chance to apply an extra stack of developing infant. So whenever your caretaker teaches a child, it will give one stack of developing infant. But if you have this passion perk, it'll give you two, or a 30% chance to apply 2 stacks. Why is that important? Because every stack of developing infant gives that character 15 path points, 15 quote-unquote experience points. And I'm going to, from now on, only use the terminology of path points, because there is experience points which influences your primary stats. Your primary stats are body, mind, heart, soul, and self. So when you gain experience, quote unquote experience, it levels up that specific stat. So I'm going to use the word or the terminology of path points. So once again, going back to this, you want efficient explainer because it gives you a 30% chance to give you an extra stack. So basically 2 stacks of developing infant, which once again, your babies, when they hit level 6, they'll turn into children. And at age 6, each stack of developing infant will give 15 path points. So that is a big thing. That can be the difference between 1 level up or 2 level ups. Maybe if you're really lucky, even 3. But I've never seen a child have 3 levels at age 6. They might be close, which is good. Let's talk about 2 other passion perks I'd recommend getting for your caretaker, which is lesson memorizer. Your character will typically have to go to the nursery to be able to get teaching implements or whatever, books and stuff to teach the character. If you take this, then your caretaker doesn't have to go to the nursery to teach the children, saving time, which I think is very important. And then the third very important passion perk for a caretaker is topic condenser. So this reduces the time it takes to teach a child. From my experience, this was when I was actually paying close attention, which was about a week ago. When a caretaker teaches a child, it takes about 25 seconds to teach them. When you take topic condenser, it reduces it by 10 seconds. So almost half. So that's 40%. Yeah, I believe that's 40%. It reduces the time it takes to teach a child by 40%. So the more time you're not teaching is the more time you can be doing other things or teaching other children. So once again, very important. Passion perks is efficient explainer, topic condenser, and lesson memorizer. But right now, I'm going to give this character the hunter passion so that we can make bonfires, which will be used to take away fatal heart traits. So we're going to take that. So let's talk about our female character, which has hopefully a very high soul and or a very high self. So we have Maisie right here. We're going to level her up, and only females can take the nursemaid passion. And we're going to select that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look here. Let's look at the passion perks. Now, it all depends now on the map that you're on. The map that I'm on, I actually start with 800 prosperity. And this is a very important thing to know because you need 500 prosperity to purchase this passion perk, fertile. And I'd say this is the most important thing. If you take anything from this video, look out for fertile. You can only get it if you unlock nursemaid on a female only character. So this is something you should pick because it gives you a 25% chance for this character to get pregnant for free every son. And obviously they can only get pregnant once. They can't get pregnant multiple times, but once they give birth to their child, then this fertile passion perk can trigger again. So, and the earlier that a woman is fertile, the longer and more times you can trigger this. And why this is important is because to impregnate a woman in the first men, you either have to have this perk or you're going to have to use impregnation salves. And these salves typically cost 375 prosperity, whereas this perk, which will trigger multiple times, costs 500. So if your character gets pregnant even twice throughout their entire life, that will be a better deal than having to manually make impregnation salves at the nursery. So very important thing to take. Let's talk about other passion perks that you can take as a nursemaid, and that would be this one here, doting, where it will remove, or it'll apply a buff which will remove any fatal traits that can stack up to 20 times. So that's very important. Remember, if your character gets fatal traits and it brings you down to 0, so say if you bring mine down to 0, your character will die. It doesn't matter if they have full life, doesn't matter about anything else. If the fatal trait gets down to 0, character dies, character dies, character dies. So this is very useful to keeping your babies alive and children alive. The other one that I'd recommend is this one, teaching. So just like my 15 beginners tips video says, teaching is a very good passion perk because that gives the nursemaid a 10% chance to apply a stack of developing infant when they are tending to children. And lastly, the other thing I would recommend is pampering, because that will grant 1 experience, not path points, but experience to the infant. So to all of the infant stats. So let's take a look. Whether or not your body is high or not, at level 1, it only takes 7 experience to level it up, body at level 1, meaning that if, say, Maisie increases her body to level 2, it will increase the body to 9. It'll level the mind to 6, heart to 6, soul to 7, and self to 9. But either way, at level 1, it only costs 7 experience. So this this one right here, pampering, is very important. So whenever they tend, it automatically gives them 1 experience to all of their primary stats. So a very important, a very good. It's doesn't seem like a lot, 1 experience, but when you think of it, they only have to be taught 6 times or tended to 6 times before they hit age 6, and they will all get 1 to all their primary stats. So that's pretty crazy. So those are the most important ones. What I'm going to do is, because in this map I start off with 800 prosperity, I'm actually going to purchase fertile. So fertile has been selected now, and now every son, I have a 25% chance for Maisie to automatically get pregnant and not have to use an impregnation salve. What I'm going to do is, I'm also going to look, how many gathering fruit do I start off with? I start off with 3 on this map. So what I'm actually going to do is, I'm going to give Maisie 1 gathering fruit. The reason for that is because I want to level her up right away and give her another what's called passion, another job. So she's going to be a nursemaid, but I'm also going to make her an entertainer, which will allow us to remove fatal self traits. So and one thing is, what you can do is you can level up all your characters at the beginning of the game, and after you've leveled them up, you can start crafting. Or as you level up your characters, you can immediately go to the crafting panel right here, once again covered in my 15 beginner tips guide video, and it will show you the things that you can now build thanks to the choices you've made in terms of passion perks, and personalities. So, but usually it's just passions and passion archetypes that would do it. So because Maisie is now a nursemaid, we can craft the nursery. If you remember, David is a hunter and a caretaker. He should also have the ability to make a nursery. He also has the option to make a hunter's tent. So in the essence of time, I am not going to craft. I'm not going to show you what to build right now. We'll do it after. Let's talk about the rest of the choices in terms of leveling. So I'm going to unpause the game, and we will have actually Maisie. We're going to have you actually, since we are waiting, I'm going to have you make a nursery, and make sure the nursery is kind of like in the middle of your settlement, close to your gathering tree, away from any potential enemies or monsters that may attack. So I usually put it rather close to my gathering tree. This is the Arcadia map, so there are technically no hostiles that'll come, so I'm just placing it right there. David will do it very quickly. We'll make a hunting tent further away. Actually, we can put it right here. We'll just put it right here right now. And let's go level up our other characters. So now we're going to look at our other 4 characters. And what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at their genders primarily. I'm looking at their genders. I'm also looking at what other type of personality, special things are about each character. So Dara is a male, and he has content. One of the personalities, I'm not too sure how it really works, so I'm not really going to pay too close attention to that. Then we have Alexandra, a female. She has a 4-star personality, cures all fatal mind, and grants 25 path points for each. So we should make sure this is a no-brainer. We should make her a collector. This will allow her to collect something, and in particular, we're not even going to look at the wild path points. We're going to look at this over here. Either make her a woodcutter or make her a rock splitter, because rock and tree trunks are very important resources throughout, I feel, the entire game. So we're going to make her a woodcutter, and that's all we really need for her to do, other than, of course, making the appropriate building, which was a woodcutter's hut. Let's do it right away. You know, let's go back on what I said. We're going to make it as close to the most amount of trees as possible. So right over here. Okay, so we got that. We have Adelard, and he has this one. Whenever he has a personality where whenever this character levels up a stat, any stat, increases stride for 25 seconds. Not the best personality, but we'll take it. Let's take a look at Alice. Does Alice have anything special? Whenever this character receives a fatal heart trait, influence, which is this resource over here, the red resource, increases influence by 5. So if we can have her do some sort of red activity, that'd be good, but it's not critical. So let's take a look. She also has high blue, so you know what, I'm gonna make her a collector as well, and I'm gonna make her a rock splitter, because once again we need rocks. And then I'm doing a little too fast, I apologize. We're gonna make the appropriate rock splitter's hut, which is given to you when you select rock splitter. And then we're gonna put it as close to the deposits as possible. These are stone deposits right here. The closer you make it, the less time that they spend walking around. So that is Alice. And now we still have 2 more characters left. Maisie ate the gathering fruit, so she did level up. And as I said, we're going to make her an entertainer. And so she'll be an entertainer and a nursemaid that is fertile. And let's make the thing that we need, which is a rocky speech platform. Part of the game is now about thinking about the future, but as a new player, you may not know where you should be placing things. So I'm placing the rocky speech platform, which is what entertainers use to do their job. Usually I put it close to the nursery, so I'm going to put it right here for now. So that means Maisie can do her nursemaiding, and the children will be around this area right here. And then whenever she goes to do her entertainer job, she doesn't have to go too far to do it. So it's just a hop, skip, and away to do her entertaining. So let's talk about our other characters, because they don't have any passions, so they're not doing anything. So we need... so let's see, we have our hunter, we have our entertainer, we have our caretaker. We do need some gatherers. So I'm going to look at Adelard and Dara. So we actually have one more character than we technically need for what I have in mind. So let me just take a look. I'm going to look at now the body stat. Who of my remaining characters have the highest body stat? So which is Adelard. I'm going to give him the gatherer passion. So that will gather crops, which is good. That would be just this passion alone means he's going to be gathering from plain shrooms, which is kind of needed for a lot of important meals. But let's keep going. And one of the most important things I find myself always running out of is water. So we need water. So we're going to pick the water carrier right now. And then that gives us 2 options, the gatherer's hut and the wooden bathing hut. Now, I'm not too sure how this works per se in terms of filling up properly. But what I'll do is I'll typically put the gatherer's hut near things that the gatherer would gather from. So typically mushrooms. So, but then you might need it also for water. So you kind of need it in, maybe this spot might be good, because if we put the gatherer's hut right there, it's close to the mushrooms, plain shrooms, and it's also close to the water. So hopefully our water carrier, Adelard, will gather shrooms and gather water, and it won't be too much of a walk. So that's completed. And then our last character, Dara. I'm going to do the last thing, which is I'm going to have him collect, and then I'm going to have him be our clay digger. Clay digger will set us up for future things down the road, specifically a well, and I believe it actually might give us the option right away. So let's do clay digger, and let's see, he actually can level up one more time. So let's do a clay digger pit. And on this map, I just know from experience that the clay deposits are over here. They're actually all over the place, but we'll do that right there. And see, this thing right here is a clay deposit. There'll be more clay deposits over here. You could always draft your character by selecting them and adding them to the party, drafting them and moving them over to reveal the fog of war. But I don't need to do that because I know where things are. So those are your beginning things you should pick for your characters. Remember to make the appropriate buildings, otherwise they may not do the gathering or crafting that you need. Now, back to growing your community. So if you remember, we had Maisie, which is fertile, and she has a 25% chance to get pregnant. Now what you want to do, other than leveling your characters, because they're all leveled up by the time we're finished, and we're not even on fast speed, we're on normal speed, is that you want to find your other women in your settlement. So we have Alexandra, we have Alice. So what we're going to do now with that nursery built, we're going to go to our stockpile, and typically you'll always start off with some impregnation salves. So we're going to give it to each of our women. So we're going to give it to Alice, we're going to give it to Alexandra, and as you can see, the great thing about the First Man versus maybe say RimWorld is that you can transfer things to items, consumables to your settlers instantly. There's no, hey, go pick this up, and they will take their sweet time to get there. It's teleportation at its finest. So we teleported the impregnation salve to Alice, and when she feels like it, probably after she finishes rock splitting, she's going to go use this to become pregnant. And this is the start of growing your settlement. You want to get them pregnant as soon as possible, because that will shore up any of our deficient gathering and crafting skills. So we've done that. Now the thing is how lucky you think you are, because if you do have a character with fertile, you might not want to spend that third impregnation salve on the character that is fertile, because who knows, maybe in the next son, Maisie will automatically become pregnant. So I will actually, because my map started with enough prosperity to give her the fertile passion perk, I am not actually going to give her the impregnation salve. But otherwise, if I started on a map where I could not give one of my caretakers one of my nursemaids the fertile passion perk, I will give every single female the impregnation salves so that we can have 3 babies being born shortly. So that's what I'd recommend you do to be able to start growing your settlement right from the very start of the game. Once again, you probably want to pause your game. You want to look at who has the highest soul and self stats, preferably making the male your caretaker. Let's find our caretaker once again, which was David, and usually giving them the hunter passion, which will allow them to make a bonfire. Let's make a bonfire. And then your female that has the highest, preferably soul and self stats, you want to make them your nursemaid and your entertainer. And if you have the prosperity, once again, you want to give them the fertile perk. And then down the road, you'll want to look out. If you ever hit 500 prosperity again, you want to make another female, preferably as young as possible. I know how that sounds, but you want to make the youngest female a nursemaid as well, and also give them fertile. And then you're constantly having your women get pregnant, and you're constantly giving birth to new settlers, and that's how you're going to grow. Then it's all a matter of your other resources. So as always, you'll want to have a rock splitter so that you can have a good source of rocks. You want to have a lumberjack through the woodcutter passion archetype so that you can get tree trunks. And one main thing, like once again, my beginner's tips guide has talked about, is you want to specialize. You don't want to make, say, your woodcutter also a rock splitter or a clay digger, because if you give any character many different types of passion and passion archetypes, they are going to randomly spend their time gathering all those different types. So you should always specialize. That's another big tip. Always specialize. So you want your woodcutter, you want your rock splitter, and then I recommend getting clay digger as well. You need that for certain buildings down the road. If you have any questions about this process, leave them in the comments below. Also, if you think there's a different, better way to grow your community, Once again, leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the rest of my channel for other videos on the first men, video games, board games, and other fun things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.